Hello and welcome to this episode of Voices of Fostering, where I'm joined by one of our lovely foster carers, Lucy. Hello, Lucy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really, really looking forward to hearing your story. Now, you've got quite an interesting story, Lucy, because you come from a fostering family and then you decided to foster yourself. So tell us about, your upbringing and what led you to fostering.
So it just felt really natural to me that there are different types of families and that a fostering family is just one of those types of families that are a bit different. So it felt quite natural for me to then go on to foster after having my own children. And I feel like it shaped my life for the better, really, and just, developed my understanding of others and just empathy and all of those things. I wanted my youngest to be of an age where she could understand what fostering meant and that it might not be permanent, and things like that. So we decided really, and I haven't always, I used to say, oh, I wouldn't foster because, there are times where it's really hard. But as I got older, I think I learned to realize more the benefits, that, and the impact that it had on me as a person. So then after speaking to my husband, we decided that it was something that we would like to do. And my sister also fosters, she's got 3 boys. So we've got quite a good support system around us that's enabled us to do that.
So can you tell us what you remember, Lucy, from your childhood and what it was like growing up in a fostering family?
So exciting. And because obviously when you're expecting a new placement, or you're waiting for the call for a new placement, you've got that anticipation. You don't know what's going to happen or when. And you're preparing the room, and we would go out and get some clothes of different sizes. So I remember that part being quite exciting. But also on the flip side of that, there are the goodbyes when it's time to say goodbye to certain children, and that was really hard. Um, and then perhaps you might only have a short break, and we would get another placement in. So I think I found that quite difficult. But overall, the children that stayed with us long term are my brothers and sisters, and we had big Christmases together, and it's just one big family that's just different, I
Yeah.
guess.
And you must feel quite grateful to your family for giving you that experience as a child.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I am grateful. And I think, it's just so different. But then I think, and the way that I talk about it to my children and to friends and people that perhaps don't know much about what fostering is, it is just a different family. And, there are stepchildren, half siblings and stepdads and stepmoms and different kinds of families. And so for me, this is a really normal way of being, and it is a way of life. And we're really lucky that we have now got our placement long term. So we've got our 2 long term, and they were our first placement. So luckily for my 3, they haven't had that, sadness, trauma, whatever, of having to say goodbye to anyone. So that's been really good as well. I think that's really suited us, because we could just really get them settled into our home, our way of life, and just share our experiences with them, which is one of the really great things, is that you get to experience so many new things with them and just see them experiencing things for the first time. And also, because my children are older, it's just so nice to see that they're getting excited about Christmas again, and that Christmas is magical again, because we have 2 little ones to share it with, and we did the whole Elf on the Shelf thing with them, and just Easter, even like Easter egg hunts. Probably wouldn't do that for the older children, but because we've got the little ones, it just makes it exciting and everyone gets involved. So it's really positive, and just our way of life. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got 3 birth children and you've been fostering now for 3 years. So what sort of differences have you seen in them? Has it had a positive impact on them in that time?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, and it hasn't always been easy, but I'm really proud of them because they've shown such resilience and compassion and empathy towards our little ones. And so I think, yeah, not so much difference in who they are, because they've obviously they've grown up with fostering anyway, because my parents still do it, my sister does it, and I think even for them it felt like a natural thing for us to go on to do as well. And they would actually even ask me, my eldest would ask me, when will we foster, when are we going to foster?
Yeah.
But then just, explaining to him that it has to be the right time, and that my youngest would have to be old enough to really understand what it meant. And that sometimes children will come, but they will maybe have to go back to their birth family, or maybe they'll, go on to be adopted or whatever. So yeah, it was just really important for me that they understood that. But ultimately, I'm just really proud of all of them. I'm proud of all 5 of them, for just really embracing this new life, I guess, that we have, because it's so different to before. And there were a lot of challenges. I think the first sort of 18 months, really, it's new to everyone. It takes such a long time to settle new children in, and to begin with, we had a lot of contact, which was just physically difficult to get everybody where they needed to be, and for the older children to still be able to go to clubs and see friends and things like that. So I think for us, those early days, that first year, was quite stressful as a family, but we worked through it. And I know that they are really proud to be involved with it, and really see them as their siblings, as I do mine.
So when you say you had a lot of contact, Lucy, just for anyone listening who might not understand, do you mean contact with the birth family? Yeah. And what's that like? How do you manage that?
I just think, again, with a lot of empathy and understanding of the reasons why that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Although sometimes it can be, upsetting for whatever reasons. But yeah, just I think more for us was the physical challenge of actually getting them there, picking them up and stuff like that. But yeah, so contact, was several times a week to begin with. And when you've gone from, only having 3 children, to then suddenly you've got 2 extra children and lots of contact, it is tough. But then what we did was make the most of the little windows of opportunity we had. So, right, they're at contact for an hour. Let's pop up the road and go to Starbucks and get some treats and have some time and catch up. And let's have some time in the car if perhaps they've fallen asleep, because, they're shattered as well. So, yeah, just making sure that that's the thing that I've definitely learned along the way, is that everybody needs time with us, me and my husband. They all need that individual time. But yeah, it was harder to do then, and it was all very new and all very fresh. But looking back, I'm really proud of the way that they just accepted it. And if they had to miss the odd football training or whatever, there was no, resentment at all. They just got it, that it's difficult right now. It's not going to be forever. And that was the journey that we were on, I guess. Again, it's just part of that developing resilience for them.
Yeah. And it sounds like, Lucy, like your fostering family life is very busy. There's a lot going on. As you say, in those early days, there was a lot of contact, and there was a lot of, appointments and things that you needed to do. But do you still feel like being a fostering family is a great lifestyle?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm around all the time for everyone. So again, in the early stages, the little ones were not at school. Again, that was quite challenging, because I'd gone from having no children at home for quite a long time to then having 2 little ones at home, and then big ones coming in after school. But yeah, I think a lot more people should consider it that have younger children at home. I think, a lot of people say to me, oh, I'd love to foster, and a lot of time it is because they haven't got the room, which obviously is a big barrier. But some of the times it's not. And some of the times I think, I don't know, it's just maybe a lack of understanding of what it really involves. And that, yeah, I don't know. I think because I grew up with it, again, it was just so natural to me.
Yeah.
And it has been a great journey. But also just so different, because when I was growing up, I was a sibling. I wasn't a parent. So then becoming, I had all these ideas before I fostered about what an amazing foster parent. I was going to be the perfect foster parent. And I think that, yeah, it shocked me how different it was in reality for me as a parent to be a foster mum. And also just, I did so much research before about therapeutic parenting, and, I thought I had it down, but then in practical terms, you're living it. It's your life. It's not a job. It really is a lifestyle. And I think that there needs to be more emphasis on, because, as a everyday parent, there's so much emphasis now on just being a good enough parent. And I think that is missing in the therapeutic parenting world, is that, you are human and you are trying your best. And every day is not going to be perfect, and you're not going to be a perfect therapeutic parent every day. But I think, I would love to hear more, more of the similar sayings, like a good enough therapeutic parent, just good enough, because you are trying your best, and that should be good enough. But yeah, I think we have so much support from our supervising social worker, who really sees how hard we work, and she really considers the whole family. And so for us, she has been really, really crucial in the success of our lives, really, and the placement.
And yeah, you mentioned there, Lucy, about how, some people say they don't think they can foster because of X, Y, and Z. And one of the reasons might be if they've not had birth children and they maybe don't have experience directly with children yet. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about your background with your career, because there's actually a lot of transferable skills you can get from your job, isn't there? And the jobs that you've done in the past. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe things that you've learned in the career that you've had that has maybe stood you in good stead for being a foster parent as well?
Yeah, I think as well, just life can challenges that you face in everyday life can prepare you for the challenges that you might face in fostering. But I worked for Kent Police as a victim and witness care officer. Straight after college, I went into that. So I was quite young. So that was quite a steep learning curve for me in terms of dealing with vulnerable people, which were adults. But yeah, so that was quite good. But again, I think that my earlier experiences of childhood helped with that as well. So it sort of
definitely
followed on to that. I also worked in a transgender clinic in London for a few years. And that I just think dealing with people and just having empathy, again, working for Kent Police, you working with victims that have been through, really horrible experiences sometimes, and just developing a really good communication skills are so important. And that's so important with fostering as well. You need to be able to communicate with your supervising social worker and just be honest about how things are going and how you're feeling, so that you can really get a good level of support as you need it.
There's a lot that people can glean from different areas of their life. And as you said, it's just living life, isn't it? Sometimes when you sit down and you think about the things that you've done and the things that you've achieved and maybe the tough experiences that others have been through, that they can all be experiences that can make you into a great foster carer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I just think the willingness to um to put your all into it and to just do your best, and just to know that if if your heart's in it and you feel a calling to foster, and you have, all of those things like empathy and understanding, and you have a desire to connect with them and really understand them as people, I think it's so meaningful. Um, and just, yeah, just to see them experience things that they might not otherwise experience means so much. And yeah, it's just meant so much to my children as well to see that. So I
Yeah.
think I think as well, as long as you have an understanding in your network around you, that's really important. You need to have people around you that are really supportive of your plans to foster. And perhaps if you don't have so much of that, then you need to find it once you foster, and you
Yeah.
need to attend the support groups and just, meet people that really get where you're coming from, because unless you talk to somebody who also fosters, you just won't understand what it's like. You can't, um, until you're in it.
Yeah. So, Lucy, you grew up in a fostering family. You've become a foster carer yourself. You say one of your siblings is as well. And now you've got three children who are on the cusp of adulthood, really, aren't they? Do you think that they'll end up doing it as well? Do you think it's going to carry on along the line?
Yeah, they do talk about it a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, so my daughter says that she definitely wants to foster when she's older.
Yeah.
She's not keen on having children of her own. She
Okay.
would rather foster.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, my middle one, says that he would love to foster as well. Um, so yeah, I think they really see the benefits in it, and just how nice it can be, and how you just plan, just even that small things like planning what we're going to do in the summer and buying a trampoline for them, and just getting excited about those experiences and holidays and weekends away. And yeah, they've definitely fully embraced it. And I think at least one of them will seriously go on to think about it when they're
Yeah.
older.
And we always talk about, Lucy, the impact that fostering obviously has on the children in care, the children and young people who are being fostered. But we really can't underestimate the positive impact it can have on birth children, because you are living
Yes.
proof of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like I said, there are challenges, and it can be difficult. But again, that for me helps them to build resilience, because life isn't easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park for them. And I think it's really good for them to just establish a level of their own, resilience and security early on, so that they can, just embed that for their adult lives.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us today, Lucy. It's been fantastic to hear your story, and best of luck with the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to find out more, head online and search National Fostering Group and make this the year you foster.